All right, welcome to the Max Everett Kitchen podcast. This is an athlete in the chef show, and I saw you go out of the screen, and then I'm like, what is he doing? Oh, love it.
Can you see me while the countdown's happening?
Yeah, I can.
I can't see you. I just see the countdown.
Oh,
so I ran to go grab a LaCroix really quick, and I'm like, oh, what if I'm not there when he pops back up?
So. No, I saw you go out of the screen. I'm like, what is he doing? What?
So, then I closed the fridge and I looked and it was open this much. So in like 30 seconds, it would start beeping at me. I'm like, oh no.
That's awesome. Welcome to the show, everybody. We're going a little bit earlier today, which I really like, actually. I looked at Alana. I saw your polo. I was like, hey, you good if I do the show before dinner? And she's like, yeah. We don't have anything going on tomorrow. And I'm just like, damn state employees. How you doing, buddy?
I am good.
Yeah.
I mean, good. I was a little stressed for about 30 seconds there, but I'm good.
Nice. Yeah. It's been a fun weekend. I've had some good training, which I'm sure we'll talk about. And I've also had a fun experience at a first-time restaurant, which I think I told you guys a little bit about. But okay, so let's back up. Like, I think it was this last Christmas season. My previous landlord that we had, super cool guy. He's the only house he owned. So we had a good relationship. I would fix things at the house. He would, take money off rent, all that stuff, whatever. But he would always give us a Christmas gift, like a family Christmas gift. Like one year it was like a big old hot chocolate, like extravaganza. One year it was like waffle maker and like a bunch of like stuff to make fun waffles with. Well, this last year he gave us a fruit tray and a $50 gift card to a restaurant I've never been to, which is called the Cheesecake Factory, which I'm sure everybody is like, how has he never been to this place? So I start talking about it at work, right? And my coworkers are like, you have to go. You just have to check it out. They have the world's largest menu. and so I get there and they weren't lying. There was 19 pages in this menu. In my mind, as a person that's been in the restaurant industry for a really long time, is blown. I'm like, I don't even know what to pick. How do I pick something on 19 pages? So I found the appetizer in small plates, and I just stuck there. I didn't even look at anything else. And we ordered. I probably ordered, I don't know, 15 things, and the server's looking at me like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, I've never been here before. I want to try your food. And he's like, all right. And it took 3 servers to bring it out. I asked for a old fashioned. And now, mind you, everybody, and Cornell knows this about me, and I might have talked about, I'm not a drinker. So when I get a little bit of alcohol in me, I might get a little ballsy, I guess you could say. And I start talking and just, going off with the server, like, oh, this is great. You've been doing a great job, man. Like, and we get up and my wife's like telling Jackson, hey, watch dad. Make sure he doesn't wander off. Walk my...
watch your dad. This is why you don't drink alcohol.
Yeah, well, she was probably saying that too. I just heard her say, make sure he doesn't wander off. Well, I wandered off. I found my way in the kitchen and promptly was told I could not go in there, but I tried to talk my way in. Anyways, this place is crazy. I felt like I was kind of in a restaurant inside of a casino, inside of in Las Vegas, like giant pillars, big old painting things on the ceiling and all these chandeliers, and I'm just like, this is so transformative. Like, I'll never go back there again. Food wasn't that great, but it was such an experience, man. That I had to tell somebody about it.
So that's actually I don't want to say a regular for us, but my wife is a teacher and she regularly gets gift cards to the Cheesecake.
Yes.
So
yes,
it's not that we're choosing to go there, but we are choosing to use a gift card, and it's about 3 miles from my house.
Well, so, I will say, dude, we spent the ticket was $130.
Okay.
Take 50 off that. And I'm happy because I ordered a lot of food, dude. So the prices are good.
Yeah. No, I think it's fairly priced. My wife will normally get a drink. I am like you. I don't really drink anymore. I probably drink less than you because it's been years.
Yeah.
But she'll get a drink. We'll get, actually, we don't even get appetizers because they bring all that bread and butter.
They do.
And then we can both get food, and we're out the door for $50-$60 for the two of us, which nowadays is a deal.
I know. I was blown away because we have a little, I guess, gastro pub or whatever, some type of little restaurant. Well, it's a one-off. It's right down the road from here, and the kids really like it. We like it. But when we go there, it's like a solid $120, and we're ordering one thing and no drinks. One thing per person, no drinks and all that. So to go there and order that much food and we each had a drink and holy crap, I'm like, the only thing that would ever get me to go back there is because we didn't try the cheesecake. I don't know how I got out of that place without eating the cheesecake. First of all, 17
of those pages are cheesecake flavors. So.
Yeah, okay, well, there you go. I just found it to be a very fun and a good experience for somebody like myself, because I am and I'll be the first one to admit, when I walk into a restaurant, I'm looking at 5 different angles of this restaurant. I'm judging it. And this is because my eyes, and I'm not portraying that out to the people I'm with, but in my mind, I'm looking at the servers, counting how many chefs are in the kitchen, all this stuff. And so it was kind of a fun experience to just let that go and have fun and just order a bunch of food and not care. And so, yeah. And I mean, we were there till 9:30, which for my kids is Dad, what are we doing? Can we go home? I want to go to sleep. Yeah, totally. But
I have had their cheesecake, and I gotta be honest, it's never been that good.
Yeah, I would imagine.
A cheesecake is a cheesecake. You can't really screw up a cheesecake. I'm sure you can. But I mean, for the most part, it's a heavy block of cream cheese and sugar, and then just depends what you put on top of it. And they're all kind of going to taste the same. So I would, out of all cakes, I would probably rank it a 7, but it's never more than a 7, and it's rarely lower than a 7.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's do you want to put apple pie on it? Do you want to put cherry pie? They just put different pies on top of the cheesecake. So,
well, that's interesting. And so, Alana found out that the reason they have a 19-page menu is because when they first opened, which I believe was in San Francisco, they were one of the first restaurants of that kind there. And they had the other restaurants of different types, genres of food or cultures of food opening up around them. And so they just kept on adding more to their menu so their customers wouldn't leave. At least that's the story she found out. Who knows if that's true, right? But I'll take it.
Yeah,
it's one way to do business, right? If somebody else does it, we're going to do it better. Put it on our menu. So,
and I'm sure they keep massive stock of the deals and the twofers and that kind of a thing, because that's where most people nowadays shop, at least, especially.
Right. Yeah, so exactly.
They probably don't have more than 2 tomahawk steaks there in the back.
Yeah, no, I would imagine so. But I was like, oh, look, you can get orange chicken and Japanese rice on one page and shepherd's pie on the other. I was like, oh my, this is great. Fun stuff. I mean, I grew up going to these little cafes across the West Coast, basically. When I would travel a lot with my mom as a kid, and we would eat at these little diners and cafes. And it kind of reminded me of an oversized version of that. Because, you walk in those places, you can get breakfast, you can get lunch, you can get dinner. And they got all kinds of stuff. And so there was a little bit of that where I was a little nostalgia of cool. This is an oversized diner that has, it's on steroids, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it feels fancy. So it also just so happens that right about the time we always end up going is homecoming and prom.
Yeah.
So we're always like, oh, look at all these little kids around us.
Yeah. Oh, it was good stuff. Good stuff. Other than that, man, my weekend's been pretty low key. Just got a good training session in, a little bit more than I've done in a long time, which I'm feeling today, but also feeling good about it. You brought something up, and I wanted to kind of talk about it over the week, and that was the idea of doing this. I don't want to say cutting, but it was like kind of like dieting tactics or cutting in an appropriate way. And I'm going to play the clip, so everybody kind of understands what I'm talking about, because I don't think I'm saying it very well. But here we go.
6 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock at night, and they've only had maybe 1,500 calories for the whole day. But what happens is you kind of starve yourself like that, or you sort of, push away food even though you're actually hungry for it for the whole day. By the time night comes around, you're in a state where you open the fridge and you see a pint of ice cream in the little drawer. And what's one spoonful going to do? Okay, what's 2 spoonfuls going to happen? Before you know it, you've had fucking 800 calories worth of ice cream in 3 minutes. What was the point of all that effort during the day, And I'm not saying this just because I'm guessing. I've done that before, like a total fool. Right? And in my mind, I'm justifying, like, I'll just make it a refeed day. Pure mental weakness.
So, I mean, who hasn't done that, eaten 800 calories in ice cream? I know I have. But talk to me about why, kind of when you heard that for the first time, what was going through your head?
It's especially with like the weight class changes that are happening right now. And well, not just especially for them, especially for the weight class changes for people around our size, because everyone's kind of freaking out because they're like, they're taking away my weight class. It's like, yeah, but they just added in that weight class like 5 years ago. So they added it in, realized it wasn't needed. So they're taking it out. It's not that big of a deal. Like if you've been in the sport for like an okay amount of time, I'm not saying like forever. I mean, 5 years isn't that long realistically.
Right.
So they are removing the weight class that you are and the weight class that I have kind of played with.
Mm-hmm.
And I just see so many people that are like, oh, I'm just gonna diet really hard and get down to the lower body weight. Because for people who are weighing around 102, 104, they have to go down now to 98, or they have to go up to 110.
Yep.
So it is kind of one of those hard parts where if you were a solid 102, like if you just lived at 102, do you want to be competing against people 8 kilos heavier? Or if, let's say, you were 105, 106, but you'd cut to 102 because that's totally reasonable. Do you want to have to cut all the way down to 98?
Right.
So I listened to what he was saying, and I felt like when I'm needing to lose weight, I'll normally decide about 6 weeks out before a competition whether I'm going to be a 102 or just kind of chill out and be a light 109. And that's where I start making my decisions. But I like what he said, where the way I took it is he said, you want to eat your calories earlier and not save them for later. That's the way that I would generally do it, where I would have a big breakfast, and then I would have a decent sized lunch, and then I wouldn't have a lot for dinner, but that would generally be like the salad or the really low calorie stuff. And then I get away from then I'm just not even near the fridge anymore. So like kind of once I'd get home, I would eat probably around 5:30, 6 o'clock, and then I don't even go to the fridge anymore.
I mean, and that's really smart. I think when I was listening to that, I think of people I know that have talked to me, throughout the years about like, oh, I'm just trying to lose all this weight and I'm not eating anything. And one thing that I'm always reminded of is the idea that if we starve our bodies are going to hold on to things. They're going to be like scared, holding on to every calorie you put in your body. So why not be more intentional about like what you're putting in your body rather than starving yourself? And first of all, I got to say, stopping eating at that time, I think, is one of the smartest things that people can do. Like, give yourself, I say 2 to 4 hours for myself because I know how my body works, but give yourself 2 to 4 hours before you go to bed to let your body digest it and all that stuff. And I think one of the worst things you can do is eat late at night and then just go to bed. Like that, I mean, your body, what is your body going to do with that food? It's going to store it.
Yep.
You're going to wake up heavy.
And one of the other parts, like I said, I eat a bigger breakfast, but I'm not eating breakfast at 7 a.m. I'm normally, if I can push past like 8:30, I'm normally good to not eat till about 10:30 or 11. So if I'm trying to, I'll be dropping weight. Anything under 3,000 calories, I will be losing significant amount of weight. I think my, what do they call it? Like the maintenance calories for me is like 3,700.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm at 3,000, I could eat 2,000 calories at 11 o'clock, and then I could save 1,000 for dinner. And that eating at 11 is kind of that breakfast / lunch. And then I don't really have any snacks at all then. And then I could have like a decent, like not just a salad with vinegar on it. Like I can still put avocado. I could still put chicken or steak. I could still put all those other, I could put cheese on it. I can make like 1,000 calorie salad that's not like a creamy ranch dressing. That's a pretty decent sized salad.
Yeah. Yeah. And I agree with that.
Plus you're going to get that like the intermittent fasting that a lot of people like to do. Like if you stop eating at 6 and then you don't start again till the next day at 11, 10:30, 11, that's a pretty good time that your body's going to be starting to burn some of that energy or burning your calories. And then I kind of feel like another part that a lot of people do is they start cutting weight way too early for competitions.
Yeah, no kidding, right? It's like 2 weeks before, and you're like, whoa.
And
calm
then
down.
they crash everything. They water cut it. Your body doesn't want to do all that.
Yeah.
So I could be a little bit off. So I didn't go to school on this stuff, but I definitely have done my street research.
Right.
I believe 2,000 calories is a pound. So if you are 5 pounds off, that's going to be 10,000 calories that you're going to have to eliminate over the next X amount of time.
I like that.
That's not that hard to do, to backtrack. Okay, I'm competing in a month. If I cut out 500 calories a day, which is really nothing, that's what you would go snack on. 500 calories a day for 20 days is very easy. Cutting 1,000 calories a day for 10 days, that's not that much more complicated either. Plus you just have to make sure that you're not saying, oh, the diet starts in 10 days and then you just keep eating. And then all of a sudden you got to lose more. But I think that too many people they're 3 months out and they're like, I'm going to get down to weight. And I'm like, I can see the pros and cons with that if you were like real heavy, but your body's just not going to function, and it's not going to work the way that it does while you're bigger.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I'm going to kind of talk about some things that I do that really help the aspect of control. And the aspect of control to me is like exactly what you're talking about, is like you're talking about controlling with data. I'm going to say, like, for me, I control with my habits. And so like every morning I wake up before I get in the shower, I just jump on the scale, see where my body's at. And when I first did this, I was a little over the top and I would write it down. Right. And so I'd write it down, do that for a month straight. And you can build an average. You can say, okay, when I wake up, this is what I am. You can also take, okay, well, I woke up this day and I was, 105. What did I eat yesterday? Write it down, and being able to have that kind of like data to look at it, because everybody's body processes this stuff differently. And my body, I know that I can eat, a 12-ounce ribeye and some mashed potatoes the night before, and I'm going to wake up probably about 1.5 kilos over what I want to be. I know that because I've done that the day before a competition. We won't talk about that. But it's one of those things that, like, if you just know how your body works, take the data that Cornell just talked about, find out and put it into action. And if you do want to start 3 months in advance, do something like that. Keep a diary of what you're eating. Take the time to really put intention to what you're doing, because if you just try to water cut and drop a bunch of weight really, really quick, I think we all know, I'm not saying anything outstanding here, but we all know that that's not good for performance.
Yeah. Some of the other stuff I've been talking to a couple of the lifters at our gym about, they're starting to prep for the Arnold right now. And,
right.
And I was like, you should do a water load next week. They're like, what? Why? I'm like, have you ever done it? Like, no. I'm like, you should see how you react. Certain people need 5 days. I'm one of the lucky ones who I need 3. Like, I can drop about 2 kilos, 2.5 kilos in 3 days. I've tried the 5 days. Guess what happened? On day 3, I lost all the weight. Day 5, it was all back. I was like,
damn it.
Don't take someone else's word for what works for them, that it will work for you on the week of when it needs to happen.
When it counts. Yeah.
The first time I did it for a competition, I had done it 3 times before that for like Big Saturday, Big Friday, whatever, just for the heavy day of the week. Because I wanted to see where's my body going to land. And then when it came to the day of, it was like, oh, guess what? I get to start drinking water Thursday. I drink 2 gallons Thursday, 2 gallons Friday, gallon Saturday, and I'm done.
Yeah.
And by Sunday, I will wake up real skinny. and there's other people who are like 2 gallons Monday, 2 gallons Tuesday, 2 gallons Wednesday, a gallon Thursday, nothing Friday. Then Saturday they wake up and they're skinny and they're super dehydrated. And I'm like, it's too much.
Yeah. And I want to kind of squash a myth out there that a gallon of water is hard to drink. It's not. And you don't have to carry around a milk jug. Because, people will automatically label you at that point. I have this water bottle. I drink 4 of these a day. That's a gallon.
Okay.
And that's pretty darn easy. Like, it's consuming. I think by the time I actually get to work, I need to refill it again. So took me a second to get there.
A gallon is very difficult to drink when it's 6 p.m.
Yeah.
And that's what happens with people. When I've done this, I found that the best way for me is I'm about 3/4 of a gallon done by the time I leave for work at 7 a.m.
Nice.
So that's like the first big chunk. And then the next 3/4 of a gallon, that just happens throughout the day very easily. And then the last half gallon is when I get home.
Not to derail this conversation at all, but do you like get in the car and then immediately be like, oh my God, I got to pee?
Are we going to get real honest here?
Sure. Why not?
I have multiple containers in my car for that reason when it comes to that time of the competition. So
yeah, I love
certain
that.
water bottles I do not drink out of, but they stay in my car with no lid.
Yeah,
when we get to a stoplight and it pours out real quick.
Yep. Yeah, no, it's funny because I talk about this. I have a coworker that he'll get to work and he's just like, he'll go straight to the bathroom. And he's in there for a solid 2.5, 3 minutes. And you're thinking, oh, dude's like taking a poop, whatever. But he comes out and he's like, oh, that's the best pee ever. And I'm like, every morning. And I was like, you know what you need to get? You need to get one of those things that you connect to you and when you drive and just pee while you drive.
Yeah.
And he won't do it. But I'm like, one of these days I'm just going to buy it for him and be like, here you go, buddy.
Birthday or April Fool's Day.
There you go. I like that. Yeah. No, drinking water, and I'm bad. I used to be bad at it. I used to be horrible. I used to not like to do it, and I'd walk around dehydrated, and I didn't feel dehydrated. But when I started, there is a difference. You can feel it, and it. But when it comes to the dropping of weight, it is a huge tool. And I think as long as you're doing it specifically to how your body does it and what's effective for you, it works.
Yeah.
I've never done a water cut myself, but I've seen you do it and I've seen it work really well.
Yeah. Some of the other parts that people don't think about and they don't even talk about is the rehydration factor too. Like rehydrating is just as important as dropping down, because if you don't do that, you're going to cramp up and lots of bad stuff's going to happen.
Yeah.
I don't remember who said it to me, but I don't remember if it was a podcast or if it was one of the lifters at a competition, but they said, if you're cutting water, for sure, if you're sweating it out, if you're in a sauna and if you're doing all that, you should, by the time you go to compete, you should be weighing what you weighed before you started sweating. So
interesting.
If you dropped like 1.5 kilos, like from the morning till when you weighed in, you should be 1.5 kilos heavier by the time you're ready to go and weigh in. But that really shouldn't be that hard, because you're going to have food, you're going to have liquid. Make sure you have your salts and your sugars, and like those element packs work great, or you just get a bunch of table salt and some sugar, and that'll do the same thing.
Exactly. Salt is not bad for you. I want to put that out there. No, I like that. I like that we went down the road of the water cut, because I think there was a lot of myth around it, and before I had ever heard about it, I think the first time I heard about it, somebody was like, "Oh, it's super, super dangerous." I don't know the dangers of it. Is that why do people say that?
Well, I would say, and this is why I don't like to water cut. Like, I have kidney issues. It's not good on your kidneys. Okay. It is dehydrating. It will make you cramp up. And the more you do it, the harder it is to do, because your body just kind of starts getting used to having a lot of water. So if you're doing this every 2 months, it's going to get harder and harder. But this kind of goes back a little bit to where I said I like to calculate out how many days out I am, how many calories I need to limit a day. And the closer I can get to that number, the easier the number is that I have to do to drop water. Yeah. The last 2 competitions that I was 102, I had breakfast and I had lunch, and I still weighed in like little numbers under.
Yeah. Well, I would say, and I'm not gonna act like I wasn't, like, when I first heard about the weight, the weight class changes, I was like, oh God, this is going to be weird. It was a little startling at first, whatever. It took me maybe 24 hours to talk myself off the ledge on that one, because it's not that big of a deal. Because I remembered that no matter what competition I've competed at, I've weighed in at about 99 kilos every single time. I have what happens to me in the morning, which is the morning of a competition, I get nervous sweats. And there's something that goes on with my body that it's like, I can weigh myself the night before and I'll be, 100, maybe 100.9. I get to that competition in the morning, I'm 99. I'm 99.3. I'm like, and I remember like it was the first or second time that happened. I'm like, shoot. And the guy weighing me in was like, no, that's great for you. And I'm like, okay, cool. But that's why I love the 102 categories, because I could eat breakfast, I could eat lunch, I could eat dinner, and it was great. I didn't have to ever worry about cutting. I'm still not going to have to worry about it that much. 1 kilo going down to 98 is not going to be that big of a deal for me. It'll be pretty damn easy.
Or weighing at 99, and who cares?
And who cares? Exactly. And that's exactly what I was going to say after that. It's like, it don't matter. Because if you want to win your group, just lift more weight. We've talked about this, right?
Yeah. And I think that this will be a definite, I think the 110 class is going to be a big shift, because I think there's going to be a lot of people who don't want to go down to 98.
Yep.
But when I was a 109, I remember talking to a couple of my competitors at a few different competitions who really didn't do well, and it had to do with their cut. And I was in Orlando, just eating my brains out for the whole week of Masters Worlds. And my biggest competitor was dropping like 6 kilos for the last week and a half.
Yeah.
And then he unfortunately couldn't put up a total. And I, like, this guy has lifted heavier than I have.
Right.
But I was just, he was so malnutritioned and just starving, and I was sitting pretty. So
I think it plays a big difference. And you just proved it with that story right there. Like, I've always lifted when I'm not, like, well, think about it like this. If you're worried about your weight, you're taking energy away from your lifting. If you're worried about what other people are lifting, you're taking energy away from what you're doing. And this will be a good kind of transition into the next topic, which is, having a training with intention versus just training. I made a post last night about it. I posted my session, which I've been doing a little bit more of, whatever. And I wrote on there, training with intention versus just training for fun, way different, or something like that. And Brandon Duffner jumped on there and was like, training with intention is fun. Now, I do agree with him. It is fun, but it is a different kind of fun. I don't know about you, but like when I go down to San Diego to see you, like, and we train down there, like, that's training for fun for me. I'm not, I'm going down there. We're with friends. We're having a good time. We're probably going to do something, social afterwards, or go sit in the hot tub or barbecue or something like that. And that's training for fun with me. But what I mean by training with intention is training, first of all, getting down there and doing the accessories you don't want to do, doing the things that are going to fix your body. Maybe being okay with more reps at lighter weight in the beginning, right? To really, drive that consistent form and every time. And then it's like getting done with lifting, going straight into dinner, eating my proteins, eating right, and then getting in a bath or getting in a hot tub or finding a sauna. And those things, as a master's weightlifter, someone who has a career and a family with 2 kids, like, there has to be some serious planning and intention behind that. Don't get me wrong. I think it's fun. It's not something you can do all year around. You know what I mean? So, yeah. So I think to explain that post a little bit more, and you saw me doing things like pull-ups and burpees and box jumps and stuff like that. And I'm doing that because I'm trying to build up my explosion. I'm trying to build up those hip flexors a little bit more so I can get faster as I'm pulling under the bar. And because I want to hit big numbers and I want this year to be fun for competing. There's the fun part. But in order to have that fun, I think you got to put in some very specific intention.
Yeah, I like that. I think when I would say training for fun is, if you don't feel like if you're not having a good day, you can just be okay with not having a good day.
Yeah.
If you are training for intention, I would say if you aren't feeling like you're having a good day, you need to figure out how to get through it. Like, you need to do the things you don't want to do. And generally for me, training with intention is there's money on the line where I'm spending a lot of money to get to a place to go perform properly.
Exactly.
And I'm really cheap. So if I need to, if it means I'm going to put my body through all this hell, but I'm spending a couple $1,000, I'm not going to put my body through that hell, and I'm not going to do it. Or if I'm spending the money, I'm going to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there'll be those sessions where, okay, something's wrong with one of my legs. I can't squat right now. So I will, instead of just saying I'm just not going to squat, then I'll do some good mornings. I'll do some box squats. I'll do an extra 15 minutes of mobility. I will fill that time where nothing got wasted.
Yeah. That's a really good, I like that. I like what you said about being cheap, because it makes me think about it. Like, I'm the dad that walks around and very stereotypical dad, and I'm turning down the heat. I'm yelling at my kids for shutting off the lights. So if I'm going to go pay like, $500 to go to a competition, you best believe I'm going to be putting in every ounce of effort I could possibly do to make sure I get the best bang for my buck.
And that's some of the stuff that I kind of talked about, why I'm not really competing in big competitions anymore, is I had that conversation with my wife, and it was, I'm going to put everything I can into this for Worlds. And then that's it. Like, I'm not going to put our family through that hell again, because it might not have been that bad for them, but I felt real guilty. And the amount of time that I was spending in the gym, and the amount of money that $10,000 a year on chiropractic, acupuncture, massage.
Yeah.
$10,000 for the year.
Yeah. Yeah.
All to go out there and go 2 for 6.
Yeah.
And I still won.
You still won, though. And that's the point, is that you still accomplished your goal. And yes, it came at a big price.
I didn't put 2 for 6. I went realistically, I went 2 for 4. I didn't want my second clean and jerk attempt, and I scratched my third. And the second one, just cleaned it and threw it off my shoulders and didn't even try to jerk it. So I went 2 for 4.
2 for 4. Hey, that'll take. There's nothing wrong with that. And you did. I remember watching that, so I can vouch for you on that one. You accomplished your goals, and you did what you said we were going to do. And I know we talk about this a lot on this show, but this sport does require, I think there's all the other sports, a lot of sports require an investment of time, money, and whatever else you want to call it. And if you want to do good and if you want to accomplish goals, you got to put some intention into it. And that's really all I was saying. I wasn't saying that I don't have fun when I'm training, and I don't think Brandon took it that way. I'm just using him as pure example, like the guy. I am always blown away with how that guy can lift for how long his limbs are and how well he does. Because I'm just like, man, he's like, what, 6'5", 6'7", something like that?
Something like that.
It's crazy, man. Yeah. And like, I'm 6 foot, and I complain about it. So I'm like, I can't even imagine what that guy's going through. And he's a coach, and he's good at what he does. But so no harm, no foul on him. I was just using him as an example. And, but that kind of sums up, like, I like to be able to make that transfer. And sometimes it takes a workout like that for me to be like, flip the switch of the brain and do some fun things. So I want to go ahead.
You keep going.
I was just going to say, I think it's going to be a fun year.
Yeah. No, I think that some of the other stuff that can definitely help with the whole training for fun versus intent is what's your team like? Is your team a competitive? Are they into competing? Are they not just into going to competitions, but are they actually competitive? And I'm not trying to be a dick here, but are you competitive? Are you going to be potentially podium level, or are you just going for the experience?
Right.
There's lots of different teams out there. There's teams that think they're competitive because they show up in numbers, but nobody's very good. There's people who lift on their own and destroy everybody because there's something wrong in their head, and they would probably be murdering people if they weren't doing this. And
that's funny.
But one of the things that I asked you earlier if we had talked about this, and we don't think that we've talked about this on the podcast, but I've talked about this in other ways. I've always compared training with intent or with a purpose versus training just for fun. Is there's certain teams that are just fun. Right. Everything you do is just, we're just going to go have fun. We're going to do this. We're going to yell. We're going to scream. That's like going to Disneyland.
Yeah.
So the comparison is Disneyland versus going like snow skiing or snowboarding. They're both fun. That was me, I think.
Oh, okay.
They're both
immediately both.
Yeah, they're both fun things to do. But at Disneyland, you're just going and you're like, ooh, let's try this over here. Let's go on this ride. Now let's go on this ride. Let's eat some Twinkies. Let's do this. It's fun.
Yeah.
Go to the slopes. It's fun. It's work. You're going to be tired later. You're improving your skill.
Yes.
There's much more risk involved. There's much more reward involved. At the end of the day, you feel much better about yourself because you just had a really good time, but you're exhausted because you're improving yourself compared to you're at Disneyland and you're eating all this crappy food and you're just sitting around and doing nothing. Like they're both fun things, but one of them has more purpose to it instead of the other one. And there's like, yeah, everyone wants to go to Disneyland every once in a while, but I don't see people. Well, actually, I do see people around here because there's a bunch of freaking Disney weirdos around here. But I was going to say, I don't see people going and getting as many Disneyland trips in for Disney season as they do with the slopes here. Like there's people, we got 3 months, let's go. Like 2-3 times a week they're going and they're sacrificing other things. And like, you can tell that that's what they're passionate about, but they also know they got 3 months to do it and then it's done.
Yeah, and to kind of sum up what you just said right there, and something that popped in my head was, and mind you, Disneyland is Disneyland. I'm not talking shit, but like you walk away from Disneyland, you're probably like, God, I can't wait you're not saying I can't wait to go back.
Yeah.
You walk away from the mountain and you're like, when are we going again? That was fun.
Yeah, like I would like to go again tomorrow, but I'm too sore because I'm old.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Exactly. Oh, dude, that's such a great analogy because, it puts it in perspective versus just saying the words. And even if you haven't been to Disneyland, like you kind of understand what he's talking about, which
like the county fair, put
anything in there,
like any theme park.
Yeah,
they have crappy food, and you're gonna need a chiropractor after.
Oh, that's the truth right there. Cornell, it's been a great show, dude. Let's see. Have you cooked anything fun lately?
I started experimenting in my brain, and then I just decided to Google it. I talked about it on our Marco Polo chat.
Yep.
I cook a lot of rice. And for some reason in my brain, I was like, can you cook rice in milk? Like, what would it do? So then I just Googled it, and that's basically one of the ways that you can make rice pudding. Yep. So I was going to just experiment with it because I normally put like cinnamon sugar in the rice for breakfast anyway. Yeah. And then when I realized that that's all it was, I'm like, so I did the actual recipe. I still cooked it in water, but then I slow cooked it after in milk. Yeah. And it's awesome. So yeah, that was just one of those things where I was like, I understand why people say they're like, I invented this. No, I invented this. Like, oh, people's brains work, and it's not rocket science. It's rice.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the thing there's somebody out there that I know that does not like it that I say this, but I don't care. But food is such a subjective thing. Like you could make one thing, the other person can make it, and it's going to come out different. And that's what I love about it. I think this is what you're talking about, but I could be mistaken. But there's this rice drink called horchata. We've all had it. I've had it in multiple different ways, but one way that I've had it was when I would probably say about 13 years ago. I had a Latino kitchen manager, and anytime I was sick, he would do that. He would do whole milk in the slow cooker and put a bunch of rice in there, some cinnamon sticks, and a little bit of some lemon peel, some lemon zest or lemon peel is what he would use, and he'd slow cook that. And then he would pour it into a coffee mug, and just like when it was done, and just like, and he got me hooked on it. And it was like, now when I'm sick, I really want that drink, and it makes you feel warm? It's warm.
Oh, that sounds delicious.
It's freaking good. And It's just like when you were explaining that on the polo, that popped in my head, and I was like, man, that's such a great idea. And I love that you did that. Rice pudding is one of my favorite things ever. Like if I see it at the stores, I buy it.
Well, now I know how easy it is to make, and I'm probably not even going to do the regular. Well, no, the regular rice thing that we do, I'll have that for dinner. Then I'll throw it in the refrigerator, and then I have it in the morning. But like it was also shocking because I was like, all right, a cup of rice makes about 2 cups once it's like full of water or whatever.
Right.
1 cup rice, 2 cups water. It turns into about 2 cups of rice when it's cooked. This only asks for 3/4 of a cup, and I'm like, I'm doing more than that. So I put a cup in, and I did a little bit less milk than it requests or suggested.
Mm-hmm.
And I have like 3 cups of the stuff because it's all thick and creamy, and it's not just the rice in there. So
I love it. I love it. There's also a thing about cooking things in milk that I'll quickly go over here. But next time you make mashed potatoes, cut up your potatoes, put them in the pot, and put enough milk in there just below the line of the potatoes. Okay. And don't full on boil it, but put it like, if you have a gas stove, put it on like medium and let it slowly boil in that. And then instead of draining it, just mash up your potatoes, put your butter in and everything. What happens is that milk will condense a little bit.
Yep.
And then you already have your milk in there and it's warm. And you put your butter in there, you put all your seasonings, you mash it up, and you get a great mashed potato. I think last time I did it, I used half and half, and it was like, whoa, this is insane. But it's the idea that like when the potatoes boil, you lose a lot of that starch, and you're just pouring it out with the water. Well, you want that starch to thicken things up, and so give that a shot next time you make mashed potatoes. If you do potato pancakes, if you do any kind of fried potato, like that's the way to do it. But
nice.
Yeah. 47 minutes. It's been a great show. Cool. I like this earlier time. If we can do this more often, let's definitely do it. Sure. Cornell, thank you. As always, everybody, thank you for listening, and adios.
Bye.